Yo, what up, Knicks Nation? Welcome back to another Game of the Week preview. We're getting ready for the Orlando Magic this week. The New York Knicks are heading down to Orlando, heading down to Disney World to take on the Magic this Saturday at 5 p.m. So who better to help preview this game? None other than my guy, Philip Rossman-Reich. He covers the Orlando Magic for Orlando Magic Daily, and he's also the host of Walked On Magic. So make sure to subscribe to that channel, make sure to give him a follow, and make sure to stay tapped in and locked in. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Let's get locked in and let's get ready for the revenge that the Knicks need against the Orlando Magic after what they did last week. All right, let's get it rolling. Philip, how you doing, man? How you doing?
I'm doing good. Happy to have you guys down here in the Magic Kingdom. It'll be nice and warm for you, and we'll see what happens in the basketball game. It's been a fun little rivalry with the Knicks over the last few years.
It certainly has. You guys have been bringing that grit and grind. You took that Memphis Grizzlies grit and grind nature and certainly applied it to your own franchise over there. And look, man, we already played each other early in the season. Didn't end the way the Knicks wanted to, but the Magic have come back more physical. Franz is looking better. I know Paolo is now out for a little bit. I think that, still recovering from the injury that he got while playing the Knicks, but Magic have been looking good. But before we get into the Magic, man, I got to get your thoughts and opinion. Knicks made some moves this offseason. What do you think about the New York Knicks after seeing the Magic play them the first time?
Yeah, obviously I think first off, the Magic caught the Knicks on a pretty bad night. I if I'm not mistaken, that game was the only game the Magic have had all season with a rest advantage. The Magic played, I think, the Sunday before, and the Knicks played the night before. So like they had this huge rest advantage. So that I think that certainly played a factor in that game. And I think Saturday will be a little bit more of a fairer test of these two teams. But I think at this point, like we know kind of who the Knicks are, and watching that game, like it felt like very much like we know who this Knicks team is. And it's a Knicks team that knows what it takes to win, that knows what it takes to get deep into the playoffs. And they might be still figuring some things out with Mike Brown, and Mike Brown is, trying to do some things to kind of shift them and get them ready for the playoffs. There's no concern, I think, about New York being ready for the playoffs. And it felt like that whole game, and it felt like kind of in the run up to that game, that New York's still kind of pacing themselves and kind of figuring some things out earlier in the season, and not in a bad way. It's just like, okay, like we don't need to ramp up. We're going to win games. We're going to take care of our business, kind of like they did the other night against Dallas. But they know who they are. They know what they're capable of doing. And there is a level of trust in there. And look, I think Orlando caught them on a bad night back to back, and not that it was a schedule loss, but some nights just get you. The Magic really wanted to get that win after they had a bad loss, I think, against Boston in their last outing back then. Certainly a lot of motivation to play well, and I think that caught them. And so I think Saturday will be a little bit more of a fairer matchup between these two teams.
Yeah, I think so as well, and it should be a better matchup. I'm hoping the Knicks actually bounce back. From a Knicks perspective, caught us not necessarily fully surprised. I mean, it's early in the season where I personally I don't like to incorporate like second night of a back-to-back.
Yeah,
like, talk about like very early where it's like you should have fresh legs to go in there and compete. And what really threw it off for me was that this is a team with championship aspirations, and they got bullied by a physical Magic team, and they didn't really show any physicality back. They didn't start pushing, battling in the way that that we've seen Detroit will do, Magic will do. So that was a little offsetting to me. So hopefully they are able to show that in this rematch on Saturday. But I agree with what you're saying that they have bigger aspirations this season. They don't need to win every single game. They're trying to pace themselves. Mitch is on still is on like a certain minutes restriction. They're not having him play back to backs, right? As we're seeing, like they're trying to be careful with everybody. OG's injured right now, has a hamstring tweak. They're just trying to make sure that they get to April so that way we could see what this team is really capable of. So I agree with that. But do you think this team is like ready for that championship level? Like what do you think about that?
Yeah, I mean, well, like right now it just feels like no one's on the Thunder's level. So it's hard to call anyone besides the Oklahoma City Thunder as a championship level team. But I certainly think New York, the way New York's played over the last two seasons, like again, like they have all the pieces they need to go deep in the playoffs. I was a little bit skeptical of their bench, just because it just feels a little older. It feels like a little bit like not who this Knicks team is. And again, like Honestly, like I felt like the biggest problems that came from that game was, like you said, Orlando was just more physical, and it didn't look like New York was quite ready for that. But it also just kind of felt like offensively and even defensively a little bit that they're still just getting used to Mike Brown. They're still getting used to a new coach. And again, while Mike Brown is a very good coach, and I don't think he's going to change a whole lot of things that Tom Thibodeau was doing, at least stylistically or message wise, it's still different. Like what he's asking you to do, minutes, rotations, players, all that stuff. It's still different. And so I think New York can still be the Eastern Conference favorite. I know a lot of people had them over the Cavs in the Eastern Conference Finals, or had them making the finals over the Cavs in some form or fashion. I think it's like Cleveland's the same way. If you've watched them, it feels very much like they're pacing themselves. They're not trying to go at this breakneck pace where they're trying to win 65 games or 70 games or whatever it was, however many they won last year. They've done that and they lost. Like they know they got to get to the end too.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels a little too early because they don't have to go that hard yet. They don't have to like push that tempo. And so the Knicks are going to get wins. They're going to be fine. They're going to be among the top seeds. And I think, they've got a really strong starting lineup. I love their starting five. It's a great matchup with Orlando. There's a challenge at every position. It feels like they've got some quality guys off their bench. Maybe they could tweak some things here or there. Maybe some of the veterans work in the playoffs better than they are now. But I think they have all the tools to get back to where they were last year at the very least, and certainly advance a bit further, which would obviously mean the NBA Finals. So they're definitely I think still nothing has changed my opinion about New York being one of the heavy favorites to get out of the East.
Yeah, absolutely. I think when you look at the Eastern Conference landscape and the injuries to Boston and Indiana, the two teams that were, there. You had the Pacers in the NBA Finals last year. You had the Celtics not too far ago, right? So it's like with those two teams out, it's opened up the Eastern Conference. I mean, look, right now Detroit's out in front. Magic are now starting to surge and get right back on track. So there's a lot there's a lot of uncertainty, but I feel like I do feel like the Knicks have a very good advantage. You were just in the Eastern Conference Finals last season. You have that experience. Experience is much needed when you think about making postseason runs. You need those battle scars. You need to know
Yeah.
how to pace yourself. You need to know what the physicality, the mental toll is getting through those challenges. And I think New York is ready to take that next level with how the landscape is just shaken out so far. It won't be easy. I'm not saying it will be easy,
No.
but I feel like that they are poised right now, especially with the offseason moves and getting Clarkson. Yabusele is starting to like he's trying to figure it out, man. He's still
Yeah.
trying to figure it out. But Clarkson's definitely been a plus. Deuce has been a plus. Once you get Mitch fully activated, that'll be fantastic for defensive purposes. But New York is getting right there, so it'll be great to see once everything is falling into place. Salute to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning for another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Philip Rossman-Reich. He covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Magic Daily, and he's also the host of Locked On Magic, so make sure to go give him that support. Make sure to go check him out. And this show is brought to you by DraftKings. Remember, all of your favorite NBA players are back, and DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA, is the place to bet on NBA stars this season. New customers bet just $5 and get 3 months of NBA League Pass. Plus, score $300 if your bet wins, paid in bonus bets. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app and use that code KFTV. That's promo code KFTV. Bet $5 and get 3 months of League Pass plus $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. In partnership with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. In New York, call 877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY 467-369. In Connecticut, help is available for problem gambling. Call 888-78-97777 or visit ccpg.org. Please play responsibly on behalf of Boot Hill Casino and Resort. Pass-through of per-wage tax may apply in Illinois. 21 plus age and eligibility varies by jurisdiction. Void in Ontario. Restrictions apply. Bet must win to receive bonus bets which expire in 7 days. Minimum odds required. NBA League Pass auto renews until canceled. Additional terms at dkng.co/audio. Limited time offer. People remember, make sure you use that promo code KFTV. Bet just $5 and get 3 months of League Pass plus $300 in bonus bets if your bet wins. Remember, DraftKings, the crown is yours. All right, let's get back to it. So, Phil, let's talk about your team for a bit because Orlando started off a little slow, but you guys just got a great win against the Clippers tonight, and you guys are just looking physical. And Franz is taking another step. Desmond Bane is looking fantastic for you guys. Let's talk about that one because what did you think about when the Magic got Desmond Bane? Was that a shocker to you?
I mean, it was a shocker because just it wasn't the obvious thing. I think Jeff Weltman said this. If you could pick a player that the Magic would target, you would pick Desmond Bane. And you're like, why would the Grizzlies give a player like that up? Even for a king's ransom, like why would a team that's contending, that's still relatively young, give up a player that they had control over for 4 years? That's one of the best shooters in the league. And, like the players that we were looking at were all these like very flawed players that may not have fit the team's defensive identity. Like they'd have to sacrifice some of their defensive mentality, some of their physicality in order to get the shooting that they so desperately needed. So getting Desmond Bane, like you could just immediately sense within the fan base, within the organization, this shift. It's just like, like they pushed all their chips in. They sent like every available draft pick they could to go get this guy. And it was just like, they're in. Like they're going for it. This is our we're trying to win a championship. Like we were talking about it for a long time, and you kind of laughed at us. Now we're really doing it, and we believe that this is a team that can do it. And so just it felt like a perfect fit because even though Desmond Bane may not have the size Orlando typically likes, he is a hard-nosed defender. Like that is a guy that does not back down from anybody defensively. And he's a volume shooter. The Magic simply haven't had a volume shooter probably since JJ Redick in his last year with Orlando when he was their best player and the only guy who could really take shots. So it felt like he was going to be like truly transformational for this team and in an area that they've struggled with for so long.
Yeah, and I feel like for Desmond Bane, when I watched the Magic, the one thing that you guys really need was another shooter and a consistent shooter. You guys tried that with KCP, but obviously Desmond Bane is just in a whole other tier. And then what he gives you defensively, and even as a playmaker, that's so much needed for a team like that. And it just gives you a lot of versatility. I mean, Suggs, Paolo, Franz, Bane, Wendell, like that's just a really good roster, and they're all physical, which is what we're seeing. It's like he adds to that identity that the Magic are trying to, continue to just build off of what we saw from last season, even seasons prior. So I thought it was a really great pickup for them. And look, such a great pickup that even you had Pelton have you guys throughout the simulator get to the NBA championship against the Golden State Warriors. So hey, man. That could happen. We'll see what happens.
There's a universe where that happens. So it's good to know one exists.
Right? You got Doctor Strange just throwing up the one finger.
Yeah.
But let's see. Like, looking at the Magic too, right, for this season, what are the goals and aspirations for this team? Because you guys have made it to the postseason, but is it just getting to the next step, like getting to the second round? Like, how far are you trying to, how far are the Magic trying to achieve this year?
Yeah. I think first and foremost, it's to accomplish what they wanted to accomplish last year. Like last year, coming off a 7-game series with Cleveland, they wanted to have home court advantage, get out of the first round. And so I think that's like, injuries derailed that last season. They want to do that as a baseline. But I think almost certainly like what the Magic really want to see is not necessarily like if the team makes the conference finals, no one's complaining. If the Magic make the finals, no one's complaining. But I think the way that this team would measure success is getting to that second round and being able to see just how close they are to competing for a championship. Because like the reality is the Magic are going to be an apron team next year. Like they're under the first apron this year. They're a tax team for the first time since Dwight Howard in 2012. They're going to be an apron team next year when Paolo Banchero's extension kicks in. And so you're not an apron team unless you're trying to win and win big. And so I think what the Magic want to see is that the baseline of this team, with maybe some tweaks and maybe some continued internal development, or maybe even just the heartache of losing a playoff series. Like I'm a big believer that it's really, really hard to just drop into the finals or drop into a deep playoff run. Like they do happen, but you need a little heartache. Like all the great teams had heartbreak before they won big.
Mm-hmm.
And so it feels like what the Magic need to see is to go into a 7-game series with the Cavs, with the Knicks, and be competitive and see like, okay, this is the thing we're missing. And it may just be experience. It may just be like, we just needed to lose one and have our guys feel that pain. And they're going to come back more focused and understanding what that journey is next year.
Yeah, and look, I think for any team, I agree with that. I feel like OKC is probably like the one that's like kind of like on the outskirt because I feel like they really didn't have to go through too
I
much
mean,
pain.
they lost that second round series to Dallas. That was like very like not embarrassing, but they were the favorite, and like Luka Doncic went crazy on them, and like it was only one. Like usually it's
Right.
like two trips. You get two or three cracks, and everybody's doubting and questioning the whole project, and then suddenly you have the breakthrough.
Right. It's just like the Celtics, right? Like how many
Yeah.
years did we have to watch the
Yep.
Celtics before they won, right? And that's why I feel like for OKC, they're kind of like the outlier in that sense where it's like, all right, you had play in, you get to the second round, now you're NBA champion. That was very quick. But I do agree. I think like the Magic need to go through that. I think a lot of the young teams that you look through that have to do that at some point. So don't totally disagree there. But there's been a lot of chatter, and I'm not, I don't really buy into it, but I need to get your thoughts and opinion. The fit between Franz and Paolo be on the same team. I'm sure you've seen that rummaging around the internet. Do you think that they could be successful and be championship contenders with Franz and Paolo on the same team?
I always tell people this. It's not either or, it's both and. It's never a bad thing to have more good players. Like if you're gonna win a championship, more likely than not, you're gonna have two all-star level players. There's not a lot of teams that the Denver might be the lone exception where like Jamal Murray's an all-star level player. He's just never been an all-star. Um, I think they can. I think that the key is still going to be shooting. And then everything with this Magic team, like every question with this Magic team goes back to shooting. Is can you make enough shots to give those players the space they need to operate? Again, there haven't been very many like 6'10" ball handling forwards, and the Magic have two of them. And that makes them unique. I say this a lot. Most championship teams have something in them that no other team has. That's just like they're. What do you do to handle a team that plays this way? And the Magic kind of have that quality. It's just a question of whether it rises to the level of they can beat these teams and get to get deeper in the playoffs and do all that. It's far too early to say with any definition, and I think anyone who's trying to draw conclusions about whether this duo can work or not, I think they're just racing ahead of themselves.
Hmm.
You got to give them a chance to fail and then figure out how to succeed after failing. And I think we saw in the two playoff series that they played together that this duo can do a lot, and it's been more about the supporting cast than about them. So I think both have to continue to improve as shooters. And Paolo struggled as a shooter this year. Franz has had a really nice bounce back season after two really bad shooting seasons.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think defenses quite believe that he's as good of a shooter as he is. That I think that'll change, and obviously when you get to the playoffs, we'll see what happens. But I do think that the Magic have a base in those two stars that they can build a championship team around them. And again, it's just going to be about making sure you get the right pieces and striking when the striking's right. And maybe they did with Desmond Bane, maybe they didn't. We're going to find out. And we'll see what it all looks like in April and May.
We'll see what it looks like in April and May. Indeed, we'll see what the Orlando Magic can do with Franz and Paolo at the helm. Shout out to Knicks Nation. Thank you all for tuning in for another Game of the Week preview. And I know we got some Magic fans in here. We always get some fan bases just tapping in, see what's going on. Salute to all of you as well for tapping into another Game of the Week preview. With me on the other side is my guy, Philip Rossman-Reich. He covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Magic Daily. He's also the host of Locked On Magic, so make sure to go check him out there. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Shout out to all of our franchise channel members for coming through as always. And don't forget, we got the watch party going down in Orlando. CP will be down there Saturday, so make sure to be on the lookout. And the best way to be on the lookout, connect with all of us on all socials. So that's Facebook, Twitter, or X, whatever you want to call it. Instagram. Make sure to sign up for our newsletters. That's where we give you some notifications there as well. So make sure to sign up for all platforms so that way you're locked in, so that way you can see CP, hang out with him, and get ready to root for the Knicks as they face the Orlando Magic this Saturday down in Orlando. All right, man, let's get right back to it. Let's talk about this game now. Let's get into the nitty gritty and see how it looks. All right, the Orlando Magic got us in game one this season, as you know, Phil. They got us in game one. All right, and it was a gritty game. They came through. They won 124 to 107 last week. Cause on the second night of a back-to-back. Still not thrilled about it. All right. I'm still upset, still seething. I want to see this Knicks team bounce back and get physical and battle with the Orlando Magic. So sorry, I'm just thinking because we faced too many Florida teams in such a
Too many
short amount of
Florida
time.
teams.
Too many
We don't
Florida
like. We
teams,
don't.
man.
If there's one thing Magic and Knicks fans can agree on, that team to the south of us, no bueno, no
There,
bueno.
there we go. Yeah, I mean Pat Riley, Pat the Rat. We all know how he is, man.
Yeah,
We all know
yeah,
how he
yeah,
rolls
yeah,
down
yeah,
there.
yeah.
So look, they're ready to take. They're ready to face each other again. Will Powell be back for this game? That's the bigger question. Or is he going? Do you think he'll be out?
I think that he will still be out. He is still not doing contact drills. And that's for the Magic. That's the first night of a back-to-back. They actually go to Boston on Sunday for Sunday night game. So I don't think Paolo will be ready for that game. I would think that he will. He's still kind of working his way back. The Magic are playing well. I don't think they're in a rush to bring him back. It's better to have him be. And I'm sure you guys will go through the same thing with OG. Better to have him healthy and ready for the spring than try and rush him back for these games in the fall. Like it's just not worth it at this point. So don't think Paolo will be ready to go on Saturday.
Same, and OG will not be back. He'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks from his injury. So Paulo and OG will certainly be scratches from the Saturday matchup. So then who will be in place of Paulo in this starting? Because you're going to have Suggs, Bane, Wagner, and Wendell Carter. So who else is going to be in that starting five?
Tristan Da Silva will start.
Da Silva. All right. So then we'll have Da Silva in that starting rotation as well. And it will probably be for the Knicks, Landry Shamet in that starting rotation too, to go with the New York Knicks. So there we have it. But let's get into now. Now let's get into the numbers, because when I'm looking at this team, man, there's a lot of categories. Obviously, we can go from many different directions, but the one that's always sticking out to me right now, it comes down to second chance opportunities. You know, especially if Mitch is. I expect Mitch to be playing since it's not going to be the second night of a back to back. I do expect him to play in this matchup. And when you start looking at the numbers, the Orlando Magic are fourth right now. I don't know if it's actually calculated the game tonight. It looks like it did because we have 16
Yeah,
games.
we have 16 games.
Yeah, we have 16 games. So the Magic currently are fourth when it comes to second chance points with 18.3. Knicks are sixth with 17.9. But when it comes to limiting opponents, Knicks are fifth right now when it comes to 13.5. And then you have the Orlando Magic. Let me see where they are here. Just scrolling down a
toward
bit.
the bottom, the bottom there.
Yeah,
they struggle. They struggle a little bit with it.
I'm trying for there. Why can't I find you guys? Where is it? No,
We're hard
actually,
to find.
You guys are up. You guys are third right now.
We're third right now. Whoa.
Yeah, you guys are actually third.
Shows you how stats aren't sticky yet. Like
They
nothing. Everything's still in flux 16 games into the season. Nothing is settled.
Nothing is settled yet, but you guys are third right now. So there you go. Both teams are top five in the respective categories. Knicks being six, but I'm going to go. So Knicks are six when it comes to actually scoring in second chance opportunities, but then they're they're fifth when it comes to limiting. But the Orlando Magic top three in both scoring and limiting opponents. So this is going to be a battle in the paint, man. Both teams. I know the Knicks want to shoot a lot of threes. They are shooting a lot of threes. But if anything has shown these last couple of games, they are in a little bit of a shooting slump. So I'm expecting them to attack the paint more to get it going. But I do expect this to be a battleground contention on who will be able to get that advantage of scoring and limiting the opponent of scoring in the paint.
Yeah, and that's the key for the Magic, because while they made 18 threes against the Clippers, that's the Clippers defense. They don't defend the 3-point line or anywhere at all, really. The Magic are still not a great 3-point shooting team. And their 3-point attempts are actually down. I think they're around like 31, 32 attempts per game. They're not trying to get up a lot of threes. It's kind of counterintuitive to way the league plays now. Orlando wants to put pressure on the rim. They want to get paint touches. They want to score in the paint. They want to get to the foul line. Every Magic game is a battle in the paint. I joke with people, like, people say they want 90s basketball back until they start watching the Magic. That this is how the Magic play. They're going to try and get downhill. They're going to try and put a lot of pressure in the paint, and they're going to try and keep you out of the paint too. And they're not afraid to grab and push you to do that and dare the officials to call everything. So I would expect a very physical game. Like you mentioned, Magic got a little bit of the benefit of not having Mitchell Robinson. Certainly the Cavs or the Knicks playing a little bigger is going to be a different kind of challenge, because Tristan Da Silva is is not Paolo Banchero. Paolo Banchero is 6'10", 250. Tristan da Silva is probably 6'8", 6'9", little thinner. So I'll be curious to see how the Magic rebound, because I kind of hinted at, until very recently, the Magic were really struggling giving up offensive rebounds. Good, they're doing okay at not giving up second chance points because their defense is still so good, but they'll give up their share of offensive rebounds. So it's definitely gonna be a push or pull in the paint.
Yeah, and with Mitchell Robinson, Mitch is, one of the
Yeah.
best offensive rebounders in the league. And the way that the Knicks have been attacking the boards too, they're currently third right now, averaging close to 15 offensive boards per game. So they will make sure to get their second chance opportunities there. Not having Mitch in that first matchup really showed with the Magic being able to control the boards and just being able to just separate themselves in that category. So it should be a different one in this matchup. I mean, last game, Magic had 49 rebounds, Knicks had 37, so they certainly outpaced the Knicks on the glass. They're looking for Mitch to make a bigger difference. And when you have a healthy Hart, Cat, that should help us as well. But another area where, it will be a tough one will be the fast break scoring. Magic love to get out in transition. They're number two right now, averaging damn near 20 points per game scoring out in fast breaks. Knicks, not so much. They are 14th right now. They are in a four-way tie with being ranked 14th, averaging 15 points per game. They are efficient when they get out and try to score when they run, but they're not going to be a team that is going to run and gun throughout the entire night. But the challenge for the Knicks too is also stopping teams that attack out in transition. They're not necessarily great at that as well. They're in the middle of the pack. They're ranked 12th right now when trying to do so. And then when you just look at what the Orlando Magic, they're not as great at stopping teams in transition either. So this could be another area who could take advantage of scoring in transition will be another key area, and that just comes back off of rebounds and pushing the pace.
Yeah, exactly. And it comes down to defense. And I think that's been the biggest realization for this Magic team, which shouldn't have needed much of realization considering defense is what they were built on last year. But the difference between them going 1-4 to start the season and being 8-3 in their last 11 is just that their focus is on defense, and they're doing a lot better job getting stops. They're significantly more efficient in transition now, and they're looking to run. And that's how they're going to try and beat you and supplement a half court offense that can still be pretty uninspiring. So teams that are able to kind of grind it down a little bit, you'll find some pockets against the Magic. But if you let them get out and run, and Orlando, I think, wants to play at a little bit of a slower pace, but when they can get out and run and use their defense to create their offense, that's when they become really dangerous, because their defense, when it's locked in, as we saw last week, is still one of the best defenses in the league.
Yeah, and the thing I'm looking more so in this matchup outside of the defense, because the things about the Knicks is that they're not going to be a stingy defense where they'll just like battle you all night long. They will try to be opportunistic, try to get the steals, try to get the blocks and turnovers. That's what they're looking to do. But the one area that I'm looking at in this one is going to come down to three-point shooting. I know you touched on it a little bit earlier with the Magic not being the greatest three-point shooting team, right? They are currently 21st in the league. They have a 20, they're averaging, was it here, 35% from downtown. Knicks took a massive drop.
Scorching for the Magic. Scorching.
But the Knicks took a massive drop because they were top five. And after the woeful shooting performances, they are now 12th, averaging 37%. Still good, but
Scorching.
But here, this is where I'm looking at right now, because the Knicks just allow a lot of threes, and they'll give anyone the opportunity to try to shoot threes, and it doesn't always work out in the Knicks' favor. It just doesn't. Look, let's just go back to last game. Knicks shot horrible from downtown for a team that loves to put up a lot of threes, and they shot 31%. Magic, on the other hand, shot 36%. And so they shot their average. Knicks didn't shoot their average. So, Knicks, who are in the basement right now, they're worse than even last season when it comes to guarding the three. This is always going to be my thing. Can the Knicks stop the opponents? Because the thing is not that they just allow opponents to get like these practice shot 3-point attempts up, which at the end of the day, we're talking about NBA teams. If you give someone a wide open look, guys can typically knock it down. So this is going to be the biggest area that I'm looking at in this matchup. Can the Knicks slow the Magic down from getting hot from downtown?
And look, like everyone says, it's a make or miss league. you can give the Magic a lot of open looks, and there's still a decent chance that they'll miss a bunch of them. And this is still the thing that can hold Orlando back, is that their shooting is just wildly inconsistent. Like this is the best stat I can give you. In Orlando Magic wins, Anthony Black shoots around 40%. I think it's less than 40% because the Magic won a couple
He
games. So
had some killer threes to change the momentum in that last matchup.
Exactly. This year the Magic shoot about 40, or this year Anthony Black shoots about 40% in Magic wins. And Magic losses, he shoots 20% from three.
Good God.
This was the same thing that happened last year. Last year he shot about 38% in wins and like 25% in losses. That's literally like, it's not causative. Like the Magic can win when Anthony Black doesn't make threes. And I think the defensive scout is still let Anthony Black shoot, like get a contest on him. But if you got to help off someone, help off him, because Tristan da Silva is shooting better than 40% from three. Desmond Bane is Desmond Bane. Franz Wagner is shooting 36% from three, something like that. Wendell Carter is now shooting better than 40% from three for the season on very, very low volume, but still. The Magic do nominally have more threats from three. It's just a matter of consistency. Are they going to hit it every time? And honestly, the best bet to beat the Orlando Magic is to let them shoot threes. Let them fall in love with their three-point shot, because that means they're not attacking, and that means they're playing to one of their weaknesses. And like sometimes they make them, like they did tonight against the Clippers, but again, the Clippers don't defend anything. But sometimes they make it, and you just got to live with it and bet that that's the best way to beat them. So like, you're absolutely right. The Magic's ability to defend the three-point line, if the Knicks are cold, it's going to be very hard for them. If the Magic can shoot decently from three, or even just keep up with the Knicks number, it's not even about the percentage that much. If the Knicks make 8 threes and the Magic makes 7, they're in the game. It's a little bit of a math problem as much as anything else. If the Knicks make 11 threes but shoot 33%, if they're 11 for 33, and Orlando's only 7 for 28 or 7 for 30 or whatever it is, not a great percentage. Those 4 threes could be the difference in the game. So it's a little bit of a math problem with Orlando still, where they got to make enough threes to be competitive and let the other parts of their game kind of thrive and win out.
Yeah, it'll certainly be a math problem. We'll see how that all shakes out. But when we talk about, like, even though we're looking at the whole team perspective and how this, both teams will come into this matchup and what they're looking to, thrive on and what we have to worry about from their weaknesses, there's always a key matchup that I'm looking at in each and every single game of who's going to shine and who we're going to rely on. And for my key matchup in this game, I'm looking at Mikal Bridges and Franz Wagner. I feel like when I'm looking at the key matchup as like who's going to be leading the Magic, it's going to be Franz. We just know what he's been capable of doing this season. He's certainly having a hell of a season this year. As you mentioned, he's bounced back from having poor shooting numbers. I mean, the guy is just averaging such good numbers this season, man. Close to 23 points per game, averaging 6 boards, 4 assists, shooting 46% from the field. Guy is having a solid season just to start. And then when you look at Mikal Bridges, he's been having an efficient season this year. And just what we need from him in this matchup is to contain Franz, who is a physical player, who will be the focal point, and Bridges, who's 1/3 of Wingstop. We don't have OG, we still have Josh, but Bridges is going to get the first crack at it, trying to slow down Franz. Just because when you look at the matchup, I'm expecting Brunson on Suggs, I'm expecting Shamit on Bane. Then the bigs, Da Silva will probably get Cat. Mitch will get Carter, and that will leave Bridges for Franz. And look, in the first matchup, it was a tough one for Bridges. We don't have OG, who's a more physical player and could really help slow Franz down. So it'll be Bridges who takes a brunt of this challenge, making sure that he can keep Franz in check. And then on the other side, Franz is going to have to look at Bridges, because Bridges has been doing a fantastic job right now. Man's closing in on a 50, 40, 90 type season right now. He just has to get the free throw shooting percentage up. He's like at 87% right now, but he is closing in on being a 50, 40, 90 split guy, averaging 16 points on the season, 4 boards, 5 assists. As I said, shooting 50% from the field. But Franz is also going to have work there, just trying to slow Bridges down. So this is my key matchup of the game.
Yeah, and look, everything for the Magic still sort of runs through Franz Wagner and the attention that he brings. And he thrived last year kind of in that starring role. And this year's been he's been good, don't get me wrong, but it's been a little bit different. And he's still kind of finding his way, and defenses are focusing in on him a little bit differently than they did last year. So look, it's not one guy that's going to stop a player like Franz. Like, they're going to switch. It wouldn't shock me if they give Cat a turn just to throw some size on him. Like, if he gets to the basket a few times, mix up the matchup, throw Cat on him, a little bit more size, might be a little bit more difficult for him to get around, might be a little bit more difficult for him to shoot over. It wouldn't shock me if Franz gets a turn on Cat as well. I think that they would rather have Tristan da Silva on a guy like Mikal Bridges and use Franz's size and his willingness to defend the post. Franz took a lot of turns on Alperen Şengün on Sunday against the Rockets. So would not completely shock me if that's part of what they do with the matchup too. But yeah, like, Franz is a matchup nightmare for just about everybody. He's so skilled at getting to the basket. His footwork getting through the lane is incredible. And he's playing at a really high level right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out and how each of these teams attacks the other.
Absolutely. And I just want to get a stat correction, because after some poor shooting, the Knicks makes 16 free throw attempts against Dallas. This is how much just bad shooting nights can plummet a number. He went from being at 85 down to 78%.
Oof.
This is how
Oof.
bad. Yeah, see how much things can drop, guys. This is why you gotta
still
stay
early.
consistent.
It's still early. None of this means anything yet.
It doesn't, but man, this is just like one bad night, and such few games can really just change the statistics right there. But look, those two guys will certainly have it out for the matchup, and I'm looking forward to it. Is there any other matchup you're looking at right now outside of Bridges and Franz?
I mean, I think the one that I think everyone should be watching is Jalen Suggs versus Jalen Brunson. Suggs is one of the best defenders in the league. He is a little bit of chaos. And right now it feels like he's been kind of unleashed. Like, he's on a little bit of a minute restriction, and really not even a minute restriction. It was more like a time period restriction where he was only playing like 4 or 5 minute spurts to start the season because he was coming off of knee surgery in the offseason. Those restrictions appear to be off now. Like, he's playing 6-7 minutes at a time. He's, his minutes are up. They're relying on him. You look at all the on-off numbers, the Magic just function very differently when Suggs is off the floor. But one guy that has been able to figure him out and has been able to kind of get his against Suggs in ways that few guys can is Jalen Brunson. Even in the game, in the first game this year, Brunson got his licks on Jalen Suggs and was able to get to his spots and get to his shots. And, I think Suggs is playing a little bit more confidently on defense now than he was a couple of weeks ago. And again, just trusting his body more. It's part of the rehab process. And so, especially after the game that Jalen played Thursday against the Clippers, it just dominated the game. His fingerprints were all over the game. Go find the steal he had in the third quarter where he's just sliding across the floor to get the ball. I think Suggs is playing a lot more confidently, and I think he'll be looking to make a statement and really take on the responsibility of going after Brunson. Obviously, Brunson still probably a little slowed down by the ankle injury, but he's still Jalen Brunson. He's going to get his points. It's going to be, one of the keys I think the Magic have is just like, yeah, the star might get their points, but he's going to have to work really hard for it. And by the end of the game, he's going to be a little bit exhausted. I do think that was something that happened at the end of that game Wednesday for Brunson too. And again, may have led to the injury, just being a little tired, trying to do a little too much in a game that was decided already. But it's when they face off, it's a fascinating matchup. I'd love to see a 7-game series with those two, because it would be great. It would be fascinating. I mean, it would be hell for everybody, but it would be a fascinating matchup to watch.
My thing is, like, even in the first game, in the first matchup, like, Suggs just like he teeters on that line, and then he crosses the line. Yeah. I'm like, wow. Like, I'm like, from a Knicks perspective, like, it's just frustrating because he is such a good defender. But I'm like, all right, man. Like, as NBA, it's like you're doing a little too much now.
Jay, you need to dial that back a little bit, man. It's just that's a little too much. He's a little too crazy sometimes.
Yeah, it's like, I forget. It was like it was like during that first matchup between both teams, and like he got a foul. It's like, why are you going that hard, man? Like, you're doing such a good job, and now you took yourself out of the game, giving Brunson like all the leeway, and like, hey, great, I'll take that any day of the way. That's what the smart, savvy player will do. We'll take that advantage. But it's just stuff like that where I'm like, man, you're really good, but like you go a little too much.
Jalen Brunson, like, in his demeanor, he's like the older dog, like, and he's older, so I'm not saying anything offensive here. He's like the older dog. He's just like just kind of chilling, like, just hanging out, doing his thing. And then Jalen Suggs is the puppy that's just like nipping at his ears, trying to get him to play.
It's a good
And then
analogy.
that old dog barks, and the little dog like kind of backs off a little. Jalen Suggs ain't gonna back off, but that's very much the vibe I get. But when these two guys play each other, it's like Jalen Brunson is just like stone faced, isn't bothered by anything. And Jalen Suggs is just this yappy little puppy that's just like always kind of barking and trying to rile him up a little bit.
That's a very good analogy. I like that. There we go. And that's why we got Philip here, man. He gives you the analogies. He gives you the breakdown. Make sure to give him a follow, man. He does a great job covering the Orlando Magic. Once again, Philip Rossman-Reich on the other side with me covers the Orlando Magic for the Orlando Magic Daily and is the host of Walked On Magic. And guys, let me tell you something. You got to support Philip if you're out there in Orlando. You got to support us if you're in New York, and why you're supporting local businesses. So let me tell you about supporting local businesses, okay? This episode is brought to you by Square. Your favorite neighborhood spots run on Square. These businesses are what make the neighborhood the neighborhood. These are the places that become an extension of home. When neighborhood businesses thrive, the whole neighborhood thrives. When we show up as a community, it can mean big business for local business owners. Money spent in the neighborhood stays in the neighborhood. Take this ad as an excuse to go support your favorite local spot and have yourself a day in the neighborhood. Square is a proud partner of more than 4 million neighborhood businesses around the world. You can go to square.com/go/KFTV to learn more. But before you do, go support your favorite neighborhood spot. You'll be happy that you did. Square. See you in the neighborhood. Okay, so make sure to go support your local shops, your local podcasters, all right, your local journalists. That's how you keep everybody in business, man. Keep it in the neighborhood. All right, let's wrap this thing up, Philip. We got the X Factors. So I'm going to start off with you. Who's the Magic's X Factor in Saturday's game?
I mean, I probably mentioned him already. It's Anthony Black. Like when he plays well, like especially now that he's coming off the bench and doesn't have to start. So like he's the sixth man. Like he's the center of their bench. And you know, in his first 2 seasons, like offense isn't his thing. You know, like he's a defender first. He'll get a turn on Jalen Brunson too, and he's just as big and long and all that stuff. When his offense is going, he really changes games. Like he had 21 points against the Warriors on Tuesday, and just completely turned the game around for Orlando. Just was able to really help Orlando kind of keep their distance from Golden State and make Steph Curry a non-factor. Even on defense, he was able to help make Steph Curry kind of like less of, still Steph Curry, but less of a Steph Curry in the second half of that game. And that was a big reason why the Magic were able to win that one, kind of running away and kind of fairly comfortably in the end. When he's scoring, when he's attacking downhill, when he's aggressive, when he's able to get out in transition, the Magic are just a completely different team. And so I mentioned the 3-point shooting stat. It's correlative, not causative, but it really is a symbol for the Magic. Like when he plays well, they're very, very difficult to beat.
All right, there you go, Anthony Black. I like his game too, man. A lot of people say he has a shade of Lonzo, and I can see it. The playmaking, he's improved the shooting, as he said. I see it. My X factor for tomorrow's game is going to be Jordan Clarkson. We're going to need that scoring. Don't want to say Josh Hart. He's been doing the damn thing, giving us rebounds, playmaking, scoring. He's doing it. He's doing it all. I'm going with Jordan Clarkson because in that first matchup, we saw tough for the Knicks to get points, and we're going to need points. Jordan Clarkson, I know we got Brunson back, but he's the only other guy that can create his own shot. So I'm looking for him to help subsidize that when he shares the court with Brunson or when Brunson's off the court. And since Brunson's coming back from an ankle injury, you don't want to expend it too much, especially since this is against the team where he injured that ankle late in the fourth quarter. So let's make sure to save him, make sure that he gets some rest in this matchup too. Just coming back from an ankle injury and the physicality that the Magic bring, we're going to need Jordan Clarkson to go out there and really give us some scoring in bunches. Hopefully he can give us one of those Clarkson memorable games, get up there in the 20-point scoring production nights. So that's my X Factor. Philip, my man, I appreciate you coming through. Please let the listeners know where they can find you. If you got any work up and coming we should be on the lookout for.
Yeah, best place to find my written work is over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can follow the blogs account at OMagicDaily. You can follow my personal account at PhilipRR_OMD. That's Philip with 1 L. And you can also check out my podcast, Locked On Magic. I do 5 days a week, and I will be doing an episode Not immediately after the game on Saturday. It'll be a little bit later than normal, but I'll have an episode breaking down the game Saturday and then onward to the next one, because I know we face each other again in a couple weeks. It's like two more weeks, and then the Magic are back in New York for a Sunday matinee. But yeah, if you're ever interested in what's going on in the Magic, Locked On Magic has you covered there.
There you go. Make sure to go give Phil a follow. He does a great job covering the Orlando Magic. All right, so it's the Knicks Nation, man. Salute to Magic Nation as well. I know you're all tapping as well. Hit that thumbs up button for your boys. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. Remember, people, to support our sponsor, DraftKings. Use that promo code KFTV. Spend $5, get free league pass for up to 3 months, and get up to $300 in bonus bets if your bets win. Also, make sure to go support our sponsor, Square. Just go to square.com/go/KFTV. Support your local neighborhoods. And remember, we got the Hangout, hanging out in Orlando with CP this weekend, all right? And if you want to know where to go, make sure to follow us on all social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, X, all right? Make sure to follow us on all platforms. Make sure to subscribe to the newsletter. That's how you'll get the notification and the intel on where to meet, what time it's starting. I'm not giving details now. You all got to do the research. I'm letting you know right now, but you got to go support us on all social media platforms as well, okay? Shout out to our loyal franchise channel members. Appreciate you as always. We'll catch you on the next one. All right, we out. Watch the city fall in love with us.